Thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope to get some feedback on what we're doing. I represent the NSG&B Programme, Nordic Smart Government and Business Programme. I'm the program manager, and I work at the Danish Business Authority. But as such, I do represent the program here. And the program is a collaboration between around 20 Nordic organizations, where the business registries and the tax authorities are the contract partners. The collaboration was started in 2016 by the business registries, and it has gradually evolved to become such a big collaboration as it is today. And we have a steering group consisting of the general directors of all the Nordic business registries and tax authorities. So it means that we are anchored on top level. And that's, of course, important for our strategic priorities. And it's also a program which is trying to support the Nordic Prime Minister's ambition of becoming the most integrated region in the world. The vision we share in Nordic Smart Government is to create value for the small and medium-sized enterprises in our region. And it is to create value by making the business data available in real time for innovation and growth in an automatic and, of course, consent-based and secure manner. And the use of APIs is considered a means to this. We collaborate here in the Nordic region because we do share many features. We have many small and medium-sized enterprises in the region. It's actually more than 90% of our businesses. And it means that we have many businesses who have a relatively high burden of administration compared to their size. And they are very compliant in the Nordic region, and they try to do their best, most of them, to be compliant with the regulation. And we are in a situation where we are requiring more and more information from our businesses. And if we look into our future, or not really future, but today, we are also requiring more and more data on their sustainability. And this is going to increase. So we are in a situation where the small and medium-sized businesses, they're actually cornerstone in our economy. And to have a good welfare also in the future in this region, we have to give good working conditions for our SMEs. And many of these SMEs, they do trade in the Nordic region, and of course they trade globally. So we think that we have to smoothen their operations in the Nordic region, and on the long run, perhaps we can expand our ambitions. We are very similar in many ways in the Nordic region. We have same values to a large extent, and we also do have the same challenges when it comes to digitalization. And we do have a high maturity when it comes to digitalization in our SMEs. We also share another thing, and that is what I call the Homo Typus. The Homo Typus is the typing man. Instead of using the data to become more enlightened, we still are typing a lot of data into different systems because we're damn good at making self-service systems in our region. And this is a challenge which we have to work on, because we want man to raise his head again and use the data. And to us, it is very much of supporting interoperability and portability between systems and services, so that the data can flow machine to machine, also by APIs, instead of being typed into systems. We have been doing some business cases, and we can see that just sharing of the business data with other businesses who offer better services, for example, also banks who offer credits and businesses who can offer better business intelligence and other database services. The business case in this is enormous. So an estimate is that if we can share the business data in real time for new products and services, it is for our region around 25 billion euros annually. So that is also a very good reason to work in this area. Now, as I said, it is the business data we're looking at. And when we talk about the business data, they are born, so to speak, in the operations, in the trade operations of the businesses. It is when they buy and sell goods and services. That is where they describe products, price, deliverance date, VAT, all these things. So this is where the data is born, and we want to support the use of the business systems for an efficient operation and administration in the trade. And by doing so, we also open up for a more efficient sharing of business data with the third parties. And that is like banks, auditors, insurance companies, and other service providers. And these business data, they're also the basis for the VAT reporting, for the annual reports, and for the statistics, and so forth. So what we're looking at is what we call an ecosystem, where we have to smoothen the accessibility and usability of the business data between the different actors and ensure that the SMEs are in control of their own data, so they can decide whom to share it with and when to share it. We just have to make it more simple to share it between the systems and services. So what we see today is that if you use a bookkeeping system, you might get some really nice services from the ones who are collaborating with your system vendor, and from the ones who not from, you don't have access to services from other service providers necessarily. So you get a credit offer from the bank whom your system service is collaborating with, but it's not that easy for you to use your accounting data to get credit offers from many others. That takes a lot of aggregations of data and more manual forwarding of data and so forth, not real time. So when I talk about the business data, we talk about data which, I said, it's born in the trade, it's in the orders, and it's in the catalogs, it's descriptions of the products and services. It is the same data in principle, which is in the invoice and in the receipt, and goes into the bookkeeping, and which we want to share with third parties and for reporting. So it's the flow of data here we're talking about between these actors and for these purposes. And very soon there will be an increasing, or it is today, there is an increasing demand for sustainability data. And sustainability data is also, in a sense, born in the trade, because it is data about products and services which the SMEs sell and buy, which they need to be able to share efficiently, because otherwise it will be too burdenful for them to support their customers and government with data on CO2 and all the other things which are in demand. So we see aligning the infrastructure, ensuring interoperability for the more financial data as a basis for also increasing sharing of sustainability data. And in this ecosystem, we see the APIs as a means for sharing data. We are talking about how are we going to ensure that we can handle the security, of course. And we're talking about how can we avoid a spaghetti of APIs? Do we need to make some common national gateways? We are discussing these issues. If there's something else coming up, which could be a good alternative to APIs, that's something which would be interesting, which we would look into. But it's not there at the moment. And for now, it is the APIs we're looking at. But it is not an aim in itself to make APIs. It is a means to create value. It's a means to sharing the data more efficiently. And we also see that the regulation could support the sharing of data, because there are some legal barriers, but mostly there may be enablers in the regulation. We are a bit different in the Nordic region when it comes to regulation. Of course, we do have in common the EU regulation. Even though Norway is not a member, they're still very good at implementing it. But we see, of course, the national regulation as a national responsibility. It is national parliaments who decides. We do not have a super Nordic mandate in this area. It is recommendations and collaboration we focus on in that sense. But we do see that there might be some common interests for also supporting EU going in a certain direction when it comes to the regulation. And in particular, we see the need for support of common international standards. So we do not want to make Nordic standards, but we want to apply what is already there as far as possible. So for example, we work on the PEPL infrastructure and what you call the BIS3 format for e-documents. And we try to we have seen what is needed in order for the ERP vendors in our region to use the common standards, the BIS3 for invoice, for example, and to create huge more awareness of the possibilities of using the common standards, so that it's possible to both send and receive an invoice and a receipt from one Nordic country to another, independent of which system you use. That is the aim, of course. We are using the PEPL infrastructure because it is already promoted by the EU Public Procurement Directive. So we think we are in line with that. So there's no purpose in going in another direction. So in that sense, the EU legislation is assisting us. We also see that there is a need to protect SMEs' possibility to control their own data, because today they cannot easily take their data from one ERP system into another. It can be very costly, it can be almost impossible. And we can see that also regulation could probably protect the SME's possibility to have portability. And of course, we can see that the VAT reporting can be better supported also by more digital, legislation which supports digital VAT reporting. And of course, we can see there is also a problem some places now that there is a demand for data storage on paper, which we find is superfluous today. We have to support digital bookkeeping to be able to go further here. We have a common Nordic roadmap for Nordic smart government and business. It was approved in 2021 by the Nordic Ministers of Business. And it's a very ambitious roadmap. We believe there are great savings, as I said, in the use of electronic documents and in better API-based services. And we try to work on it. We have set up working groups, and we are living with long-distance relationships across the Nordic region now to realize this roadmap. I think that was all for me. Any comments or questions?
Well, thank you, Kjersti. I see a question from Michael Bukowski. Michael, so I don't know if I can now unmute you. I will, let me see if I can unmute you so that you can address your question yourself. If I find you, yes. Voila, no, I cannot. It seems oops. Okay. Did I unmute you, Michael? I don't see you anymore. Where are you? Okay, I will ask for you because I don't know what happens with this WebEx instance. So a question from Michael is, could you elaborate on protect the SME's possibility to share own data? What do you mean by that? And I will take another one and then we have to move just Mohamedi.
Yeah. Maybe my English is not perfect, but what I mean is that it's important that the SMEs are able to use their own data efficiently so that they get better services from their data, so that if they can share the data efficiently with their auditors, with other service providers, they can get better services. And today, an SME who use a bookkeeping system is de facto dependent on the contract which the service vendor presents to them. And there could be a need for protecting their rights, so to speak, to control their own data, the data they have in the bookkeeping, so that they can more easily extract the data and share it with whom they want.